So today, actually, I will be starting by explaining the general vision behind our open source strategy and what's already available there. So we have a quite large sized GitHub with full of projects and teams. So I will also give some details about some of them. And so then we will continue with some news and highlights from our open source strategy to see where it's going and what kind of great achievements are lying ahead of us. And then we will have, I think and I hope, enough time for the Q&A part. Basically, as it's known in many occasions that the reason why IDSA has GitHub account and open source building blocks along with it is because this is like pretty much working like a construction site. We are using this analogy a lot, and I personally believe this is a very good analogy because a construction site is a great place to learn from. So this is how we also learn from the experiments happening in GitHub. So our community, the teams from our IDS community are engaging in many experiments and making a lot of implementations from a lot of stuff that are part of the IDS standard. And when we are looking at this open source building blocks, then we can always have the chance to learn from them and work backwards to improve the IDS standard. So this is really a learning ground for us. So that's also the reason why we are always encouraging the companies, organizations in our network to go more in the open source direction. And then why do we have it? Well, it's also good for the project teams. So it's adding visibility to the projects and raise awareness among our community about the projects that you are sharing here. And you can also attract a lot of potential contributors and also comments and feedback on your implementation. And you can have support from the community. Let's say if you are developing an IDS component, let's call it metadata broker, then you share it here. Then you get comments from other people. You get questions from projects who are trying to implement your stuff, and of course you increase trust and reputation. So I guess a lot of people already know that. So IDS is being applied in a lot of research projects as well. So in this European research projects, people are really looking for open source and reusable solutions. So this is also the one reason that we think that all implementers, all experimenters should be able to share their implementation as open source so that other people can try to experiment with them. So it will also strengthen the validity of the product. So that when many people experiment with it, then you have the chance to see that, okay, my product is quite good, in good shape, and it's surviving a lot of conditions. It can be customized, it can be easily used. So this is a perfect ground for that. And here you have kind of a niche audience because almost everybody is fully interested in IDS standards. From different directions, but they are all interested in the same thing. And here on GitHub, what we do, well, we don't develop software here. What we do is that we create, update, and maintain the standards and provide the guidelines to find the information in its right place. We manage some general repositories that I will be also diving deeper into that. And we also have some duties related to the community management. And so, as I said, we help with the community management, we help with onboarding to it, and we help with communicating the features, saying that what's available here. And we, from time to time, we concentrate on we work on the existing projects, and we try to get some easy to use information out of them, and we create some new repositories and pages to provide information. And what we don't do, so basically we don't intervene in the ways the project teams work. Excuse me for a second, please. Okay, sorry for the short break. So what we don't do is that, so we don't intervene. So all project teams are on their own, and so they want to apply what they plan to apply always. So we just are there from time to time to show the path. If they are in need of some collaboration, or if they are in need of some guidelines. So we don't develop open source software. As the IDSA head office, we don't have this capacity, but we are just fostering the implementation and the efforts in that direction. So we don't deal with licensing disputes, so all the projects have their own licensing schema, so they can already use some of the ones that are really popular now. And we don't resolve the issues on GitHub repositories that belong to the projects. So we encourage people to create issues, to express their opinions in any project, but we don't, like, every team is responsible of their own issues, of their own matters. So we want to really grow this ecosystem even more. So the ultimate aim is to have a transparent and collaborative area here. And we really want to foster the fact to make people learn from each other, because now it's when you look at things from the data space technology perspective, we are really in the very early steps, and it's really very important for everyone to learn from each other's successes and also failures. So that's why we really want this place to be highly interactive, and everybody being engaged in the experiments of and the experiences of the others. And we are also having some kind of features to collect this information. So basically, so I think pretty much everyone, or the vast majority, knows about this infographic where we have we show what a data space is looking like from the infographic visual styling. So we have all these components like metadata broker, IDS clearinghouse, connectors, applications, vocabulary providers, and identity providers, and app store. So the relation to the open source is that we want to collect as much as possible the implementations of all these components, because it's always like that. And so, as I just mentioned, in a lot of projects, in a lot of initiatives, people are trying to apply the IDS standard, and they are looking for some open source solutions and reusable solutions. And we already have at least one project for each of these components, but of course, the more the merrier. So our aim to have a lot of them, like a lot of options for people to choose from. So at the end, we really want to end with a very good catalog that people can choose from them and can experiment with them and can learn from them. And currently, we have so 62 repositories, and some of them are really major, and some of them are being updated from time to time. So we are managing, as the IDSA head office, 13 repositories, and there are also some implementations, so either some IDS components or some frameworks to facilitate some part of the implementation that are managed by their respective teams. So what is there for you? Really, our ultimate aim here is that to make IDSA GitHub not a developers only place, and currently it is not a developers only place at all. So it's being attended by multidisciplinary people from business perspectives, from administrative perspective, and we just want to get these people together and to foster the communication and the feedback mechanism. So currently there we have the IDSA reference architecture model. Well, since last year, I think we have all our assets taken to the IDSA GitHub. And the reason why we did that is that to foster the communication and the feedback mechanism, so that everybody can talk about reference architecture model, can create an issue about it, if they want to contribute to the reference architecture model or rule book, so they can just do that over GitHub. So basically, we have all these artifacts in GitHub. So reference architecture model, you can find it, you can read it, you can contribute to it, and the rule book for the same. So we have another one called deployment scenarios. So as I said, it's very important to learn from each other's experiments. So if you have an IDS deployment scenario, you are more than welcome to share that with us, so that other people can also learn from it. We also have the IDS testbed, which is open source and available for reusing, which can be used for component behavior testing. So if you develop a IDS component and you can test it, you can also prove its interoperability with other components, and you can. So this is also needed for as a technical asset for the IDS certification. You may count it as a first step for IDS certification, and you can also use that one as a minimum viable data space. So just a data space with just enough features to enable secure and sovereign data sharing. Then we also have this repository called IDSG, which is having the specifications for different IDS components. So if you are thinking to implement a metadata broker, there you will find the specifications for it, like what kind of requirements are needed for that, how this component should behave in several different situations. So you will find them there. It's currently not having all the component specifications, but most of them are already there, and it's always open for contributions. Then, then we also have the IDS knowledge base, which is showing all this information about IDSA in a more reader-friendly way. So I will come back to this. And we have the IDS graduation scheme here. Actually, what we try to do is to encourage people, the IDS component implementers, to apply to it. So if you implemented any IDS related stuff, you are welcome to apply to it, so that you can get the maturity of your project assessed by our technical steering committee. And we will come back to this. So we also have this IDS 3CCO repository that we are managing. This is for the certification criteria catalog for components, and actually this is only open for the working group certification. So you are more than welcome to join us here, and if you are not already there, please fill in this form by using this link. We will also share that in the chat, and then you will be sent an invitation to join us. And if you are from an IDSA member organization, then you will also have access to some more repositories, which are members only. The reason why we have this differentiation, like members only repositories and public repositories, is because IDSA is a member-driven community, and all the work being done there is made by our members, by the core organizations in our network. So if you would like to be saying in this standard building activities, then you have access to this members-only repositories. And I will come to this knowledge base. So basically, as I said, so we have all our assets in GitHub, and also there's a reader-friendly version of that. That's how we call it, and you can basically access it via this address, And here you will find already some super cool and important content to implement IDS. So if you go, let's go to IDS RAM, for example, and here it's the same content as GitHub, which is in a rendered version, which makes the reading and checking easier. Here, I would also like to briefly mention about this third functionality that we have. So basically, we use Gitbook here to have a synchronized knowledge base with GitHub. You can also use this lens functionality here, which is a smart search functionality. Like saying that we are in RAM now, we may want to use like, we may want to ask some questions such as how IDSA does usage control. Let's just invent some questions. It's not always bringing good results, but it's really funny to experiment. So here, yeah, you get this kind of answers, and you also get some related questions. Yeah, so we really invite you to experiment here. You have a lot of really cool stuff from GitHub, and in a easier to consume way, I would say. So even if you don't want to join GitHub or use GitHub, then please feel free to use that one. So we also have this IDS deployment scenarios that I mentioned. So we want to collect all the deployment examples with IDS into a repository, and we also have a report which is in preparation now, and which is related to that. So the basic aim is to show what people experimented and what can it be used for. So let's say you implemented a connector and a metadata broker, so a set of IDS components, and you made some customizations to make it really good and usable in agriculture domain. Then another person with the same purpose can just come and reuse it. And both people's experiments could be really inspirational for each other and also for the other people. So this is something that we do as the IDSA head office. Like, we encourage everyone to share the deployment scenarios with us. So basically, you can do this in many ways. So you can add a component to a group of components. You can change one or more components in an existing set of components. So you can just customize some stuff to serve another purpose. Or you can change all the components, or you can create an entire new setup. So our main criteria here is that what we consider as an IDS deployment scenario is that the deployment contains at least one IDS compliant component. So then we call it as IDS deployment scenario. Yeah, and purpose is all that matters. So as I said, once you implement something for a purpose, it can be inspirational for for somebody else, and there's a learning here. So how to share a deployment scenario? So if you have already a deployment scenario, please, you are welcome to share it with us. You can do this as a pull request via IDS deployment scenarios repository, or you can also do that with our data space radar form, which is on our website under adoption. Once you get into the data space radar form, if it's in a pilot or live stage, if your implementation is in one of these stages, then you will have some extra questions to answer, and then we will contact you to get this deployment scenario if you are interested in. And as I also mentioned, we have this IDS graduation scheme. So if you have implemented an IDS component or an IDS set of components, Here, if you are invited to apply to IDS graduation scheme, so that you can have your project's maturity level assessed by our technical steering committee. So basically, it's a maturity assessment methodology that we are using, and you can provide further visibility, and you can earn a badge for your project and increase the adoption possibilities of it. And basically, as I said, so we have these 3 badges, and as I mentioned right in the beginning, we are in the early steps of the technology. Thus, we only have 3 projects in the IDS sandbox level. But I think that a lot more projects could be here. So it's just a matter of application, and the application doesn't really last longer than half an hour, in my opinion. So you are welcome to join us for that. And in the upcoming months and years, we will have some incubation projects and hopefully some graduation projects as well. So basically, how you can apply here to the IDS graduation scheme. You can do that either from our website or from the you just go to make an open source, and then you will be finding the application form there. Basically, you provide some general information about your projects. Your project should have a contribution guidelines and a code of conduct, a description and roadmap, and an alignment with IDS, an alignment or overlap with similar projects, and the website and a presentation. And then the technical steering committee reviews your application, and you receive a response in a few weeks. So, in conclusion, the benefits of having the IDS open source here is whether you develop a component or a set of components, you can share it as a deployment scenario, or you can apply it to the graduation scheme that has, and both channels have different advantages. And if you develop a set of components, then you can also apply to the data space radar to get more visibility among the community. And as you know, it's a tool on our website that shows the the existing data space implementations and base that are categorized on their maturity level. And I would also like to highlight some parts, some recent news. So one of the really promising things is Eclipse Data Space Working Group, which is formed, and sorry. Sorry about it. Autumn is the bad season for presenting, definitely. Jokes aside, so Eclipse Data Space Working Group is a very important one. So this is where a lot of really important organizations are coming together and to foster the open source data space technology development. And there will also be some subgroups focusing on core protocols and component alignment and management tools. And it will aim to standardize protocols and promote processes. You know, I think pretty much everybody knows Eclipse Foundation, and so we are also looking forward to contribute to this group as much as possible. And there's already Eclipse Data Space Components project, which is IDS-based solution, and which is already part in Eclipse, and one of the really popular ones there. And so coming to the IDS and interoperability solutions, so I would like to highlight the data space protocol here and invite everyone to check it. Because this is now something that we are trying to make every implementing team or every open source project to align with the data space protocol. So currently in the data space domain, it's like everybody is doing some data sharing systems, but the structure all in all is quite fragmented, and we as IDSA, we want to be sure that every project has some kind of a interoperability aspect to talk with other data space instances. And data space protocol is a good way to do that, and also to ensure the technical interoperability, which is one of the layers in the European interoperability framework. So basically, this project tries to find solutions and answers to this question: how do different data space instances communicate seamlessly with each other? It's very important project, and please, you are invited to check it. And the biggest revolution here is the separation of the control plane and the data plane. So the reason why this is being made is that so there are several advantages, of course, and so one of them is this flexibility advantage. So you are basically separating the decision making and the action taking. So decision making, the control plane, and the action taking is the data plane, and it allows for more flexibility on how data is accessed and used. And the one other aspect is, of course, the security aspect. So the control plane can focus on ensuring the trusted and secure data exchange, while the data plane can focus on efficient and seamless data transfer. Then the scalability is another aspect. So let's say you implemented a control plane which fulfills all the functionality that you require and which fulfills all the KPIs. Then you can also scale it into another kind of case. So you have a really good model which makes the job perfectly, so that you can basically scale it. And modularity would be another advantage of it. So if there is a need to change or upgrade the data transfer process, it can be done without affecting the control mechanisms. And same also applies for the vice versa. Like if you want to change something in the control plane, then you don't have to intervene in the data transfer process at all. So it's basically consisting of 3 layers, 3 protocols within the data space protocol currently. And so first one is the catalog protocol to help everyone to see what type of data is available and what are the offers. The other one is contract negotiation protocol, is where the requirements are fulfilled to get a permission to access the data. And the transfer process protocol is the third one, so which is about using data once you have permission. So basically, this is it, and feel free to check it on GitHub. The name of the repository is IDS specification, which is here. And there's also a page on our knowledge base under main IDSA assets, and you can also check the content here. So as I mentioned, we encourage every project to join and get familiar with it, and also be compliant to this data space protocol. So thank you very much. I think now we can take questions.
Thank you very much, Anil, for sharing all these insights about the IDSA open source strategy and framework, and all the other aspects such as the deployment scenarios, the IDS graduation scheme, even the Eclipse data space working group, and the IDS data space protocol. So thank you very much. And of course, thanks very much to our audience for listening. So now we can open the floor for questions. Please feel free to raise a hand, and we can unmute you and you can ask your questions, or please feel free to type it in the questions or the chat window in the GoToWebinar, that small window you see. So maybe for now we don't have any questions. So maybe while we are waiting for our audience to take it in all what you have described and process it all. Maybe I could ask one question. So how can one become a contributor to the IDS open source projects? So can newcomers to this community easily engage in discussions, or can they contribute to the IDS building blocks? How should they do it?
Actually, we are here fully supporting the open source philosophy and following it. So basically, once you first, if you are not in IDSA GitHub, then you should fill in the form and join us. And then you are welcome to join to get into any repository, create an issue there, and express your opinion and join the discussion. And I think all the project teams would be having a very welcoming approach to you, and also you can just check the contributing files, the contribution rules in each repository, and by following these rules, then you are free to contribute to any project. You can contribute either by contributing to the code itself, or you can also contribute by expressing your opinions and providing feedback to the project.
Yes,
I hope that covers it.
Thank you very much, Anil. So we are waiting maybe another one for you. Maybe it could be nice to see if there are any examples of successful collaboration or joint innovations that have emerged from this wonderful community, the IDS open source community.
Yes, so now I remember. There's one that I can say, for example, two projects that are implementing the same components, they are providing feedback to each other. But a more concrete example would be that, for example, for the deployment scenarios, there was one implementation of the IDS testbed for an agriculture project that has been reused by another agriculture project that had to implement the IDS testbed. So for us, from our perspective, this is a success, because this is the reason why we are fostering this activity to document this information and share it within our network, so that it can be inspirational for other people and they can experiment with it and may have similar or different findings out of it. So that would be mine.
Thank you very much, Anil. We have one question in the chat. Julia is asking how many connectors are open source, or how many connectors are out there in total?
I don't know the right number, to be honest, but I can definitely direct everyone to the data connector report. So maybe we can just even show it here. So this is a great asset that we have. So I will share my screen first. I hope everyone can see my screen now.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Awesome. So under offers, we have this data connector report. And there so it's being updated on a monthly basis, and there you can see all available data connectors that can be reused. So it's a perfect catalog to show what connectors are available, and I even saw that this catalog, this report shows how many variants of a connector are available. So basically here you will see all these connectors, data connectors, and some of them are available as open source.
Yeah, thanks for showing that, Anil. I guess we will share the link also in the next few minutes to this connector report. I will do that. In the meanwhile, I'll just check quickly if we have any other questions. Somebody's asking, how is the feedback from contributors incorporated into the development and enhancement of IDS assets, such as the IDS RAM or the IDSA rulebook? So how does this feed into that? You are muted and we cannot hear you for some reason.
I couldn't catch the question perfectly. So is it asking that, could you please repeat it? Sorry about it.
Sure. The question is, how is the feedback from the contributors to the open source community at IDSA? These feedbacks are incorporated into the development of or enhancement of IDS assets, such as IDS RAM, for example, one of our core assets, or the IDSA rulebook. So how does this contributions flow into that?
Okay, so how does it work, or how? So I will answer both questions. So first, how does it work? So you can just basically go into any repository related to RAM, rulebook, or any specific project, and you can just provide your feedback, and then the team is the project team is considering that and taking this into account. And then how is the feedback is contributing to the further development of IDS assets? Well, I would say several people who expressed their opinions via GitHub repositories. They were invited to some group meetings and then to express further their ideas. And also, I can just again share my screen. So for example, we have this main IDSA repository where we are providing some updates and about information and some guidelines about where to find what. And here we have you can check the list of issues in every repository. You can see the number of items closed here, for example. Like we had some people providing feedback here, like saying not only bug reporting, but also saying it could be better if you could make your documentation like this, or if you could add this information to this page, stuff like that. And then we incorporated them all. So same applies for the other projects as well. So if you are especially interested in what has been incorporated and what kind of feedback has been provided, then I welcome you to check the issues in each repository, and open one, not open ones, but closed ones.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Anil. So I don't know if we have time for one more question. Yeah, maybe we do. This question is, what kinds of contributions are IDS open source projects currently in need of most?
Perfect question. So I would say our working groups, like for architecture and the rulebook, are pretty much in good shape, but still a lot of contributions we need especially on GitHub side. So first, if you want, please check the existing IDS documentation on IDSA GitHub. And if you want to provide something there, please feel free to provide. If not, an alternative would be also to check the implementation projects here, like the connector implementations or metadata broker implementation, and you can just provide feedback there. So as I said, you can either contribute by coding, or if you don't want to code, then you are free to express your opinion and provide feedback on the product.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
I would also add an example of it. So let's say there's a metadata broker implementation again, and there's a user interface module of it, and you can just go and say, hey, this user interface is not user-friendly at all, or you can just improve it by adding this kind of functionalities. So there are plenty of ways to direct your feedback into a product. So it's just a matter of, you know, like dedication, I would say.
So yeah, open for all sorts of feedback. So thank you very much. I'll just check once again if there's any other questions. Okay, I don't see more questions at the moment. So would you like to add any concluding remarks, maybe before we close the session?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Ilknur. I would say, so first of all, I would invite everyone to join IDSA GitHub. And if you have any implementations that are in any stage, I mean, it can be really in a very bad stage, in a very early stage, in a immature stage, please join there, because there you have, you are exposing your implementation, your plan, your ideal into a group of almost 300 people, which are consisting a niche audience. They are all interested in IDS somehow, and then you are getting a lot of feedback for your plans. So even if your implementation is in a very early stage, I would strongly suggest to join there.
That sounds great. So thank you so much, Anil, for this great presentation. And thank you so much, our dear audience, for joining us today. Hope you enjoy. And we look forward to seeing you in the next Tech Talks. Thank you a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much. Oh, we have another question, I guess. Or thanks, no. Okay.
Okay, seeing things from Yaroslav and yeah. Thank you.
Bye bye.
You.